This is Sean McClure with Pro MMA Now, and I'm here with longtime pal and excellent female fighter, Julie Kedzie. Julie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I was actually kind of shocked about the announcement after your fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't expect it to be kind of that big of a thing. It was something actually I kind of had felt going into my fight. It was something that kept, occurring to me that I was kind of through. And then, I talked to my coach backstage before I walked out, and he said, "All right, cool. Let's make this a good fight." And then it kind of went from there. I was shocked by the decision of my fight.
You know, that's what I was going to say. Your new nickname is Julie Judges Don't Like Me Kedzie, because
I know, right?
you
That's
seriously.
funny.
I usually don't say anything about it, but with that fight, I was watching with a group of friends, some smart friends, and I said, "Hey, Julie won that fight easily." And then they said split decision or whatever, and then they gave it to your opponent. And I said, "Okay, every single one of those guys is doing some kind of special dope or something, or watching a different fight. Maybe they were checking Facebook while they were watching, and I don't know. It was
It
crazy."
surprised me. I think what's crazy about that is, like, in the Germain fight, I really didn't feel like I'd won that fight, but I did land all the takedowns in it.
Right.
And in this fight, I really felt like I did win this fight, and she landed the one takedown, and I guess that was the decider. I don't know. So I was like, oh, okay, well, you can't really please any judges ever. So, like, what is it that they're looking for anymore? But it's fine. That really didn't factor. I was gonna, I just thought I was going out on a win. And they thought differently. So, and it's like I still like had the same decision. Like I didn't make me want to go change anybody's mind or anything. I was just like, whatever. And I think that actually, when you think about that, that also factors into it. I mean, if I still had, I guess, that spark, I'd be like, screw everybody. I'm gonna,
Right.
I can't be, and for me, I was just like, well, that's really a stupid decision. Oh well, I'm gonna get on with my life. And when you have that kind of reaction, then you really have to examine yourself. And I had been examining myself before, and I think having that reaction really reinforced how I felt about, fighting and just how I'm just kind of, I don't know, worn down. I'm not worn down with MMA. I love MMA. I love being around it. I'm around it every day, and I want to continue being around it every day and be involved in it. But I think it may have been the lack of fights over the years, or something about it. It's just changed me a little bit, and I think I just need to take on a different role in the sport.
You know, that's something that it seems to, and you were kind of at a disadvantage. I think a lot of people forget that the time when you were fighting. I mean, I always talk about going back to hook and shoot and stuff like that, but back when you were fighting, people weren't screaming for women to come in and fight for them. Um,
No.
I mean, and so you could go. I mean, what's the longest you went between fights as an active fighter?
Probably a year or so, 2 years maybe. I don't know. But like honestly, back in the day, even though they weren't screaming for it, it was like you had to hustle harder, and I don't know if it meant more hustling more because I had a lot of people to prove wrong,
Right.
but I just had more, or maybe I was just younger. Um, but I just for me, the hustle was part of it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you right. I'm everywhere, and fought everyone, and didn't care about their records, and didn't care about my record, and just dove into it. And now it's kind of like it's more of a business, and that's really good for the fighters. I don't say to kids as a critique. It's good for them. They need to make money. Like the female fighters need to make money, and they need to to get their earnings. But for me, I just never did it for with those things in mind. Now I love money. Everybody can give me money. I'll take it. But it's just never, I've never done a good job of promoting myself like some of these girls. I've never gone out and done the things that they've done. And it just was about the fight to me. And I'm not saying the fight is not important to these girls. I'm just saying the marketability side of it and all of that has never been a strength of mine. And the making faces at people at weigh-ins and all that other nonsense is just not getting into tips with people and Twitter this and that. It's just not been my thing, and I think that's what sells now. And that's where I'm I just don't think I'm going to develop those skills.
Well, I mean,
Why bother?
one thing you can say though, Julie, is that if you're coaching someone coming up, I know you've mentored several people. Is Holly Holmes still training with you guys?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like Holly she's experienced, but she could definitely benefit from someone who's been around. And if she asked you a question about that, even if you weren't, you know about all that stuff, you could educate people who aren't familiar with the sport, and that is a big win for you, and it's a big plus for whoever you're working with.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a way for me to keep an active role in the sport. I can help the people around me. I can put my skills to good use in a very tangible way, so that I don't have to, I guess it doesn't have to be as abstract to me. I mean, the issues are right in front of me, and I can fix them. How do I get out of an armbar? How do I get out of a guillotine? How do I do this? How do I do that? I'm not the world's greatest jiu-jitsu practitioner, but that's definitely, I can work on myself in that area to be a help to other people, and for some reason, that's really motivating to me. Like, I can't wait to improve myself as a martial artist, not just for 15 minutes in the cage, but to actually benefit the people around me.
I look at you like a great white shark. Like it takes 50 harpoons to finish you. I mean, you walk through so much stuff that people throw at you. It is absolutely ridiculous. I, that fight with Misha Tate that you had, where you two were just
go. Finish me, but
no, but you know what I'm saying. I
yeah.
mean, submission, maybe. Okay, I give it to him. Maybe they'll finish Julie by submission. But if you go back and watch your fights, not as Julie, but as a regular fan, and you'll be like, damn, that girl's taking some punishment there, man. Oh wait, that's me.
I don't know. I really enjoyed my role as a fighter in this sport. I mean, let's face it. I'll be realistic. Dana White calls me up and offers me like $500,000 to step in, and do something. I mean, as a fighter, there's still going to be that element of competitiveness. Say Misha Tate gets hurt before the Ronda Rousey fight. He calls me and he says, "Okay, I need you to fill in." All right, I'm there.
Right.
I mean, that part of me is not ever going to die. I'm just saying I may not be the best fighter anymore, and I recognize that. I do 10 times better in the gym than I've ever done in the cage, in front of people. And maybe something of that has to do with the television aspect of it or the pressure. I don't know. But I know that I took every step within my ability to fix it this fight. I saw a sports psychologist. I trained correctly. Like, it was a wonderful camp. Everything went right this camp. So, the end of the day, there's nothing to blame except me maybe getting older or more tired or just realizing that, my time is kind of coming to an end.
Well, I told this to my friend Gary. I said, Gary, the reason there's not going to be a stink made about this decision is because Julie announced her retirement. No one, when someone announces their retirement from something, it's their decision to go out. You obviously don't have a problem with it, so none of us are allowed to have a problem with it.
Yeah. Well, and again, I half expected my coach to talk me out of it, and the fact that he supported me for it, that's, I mean, I don't know, it showed on my face when I walked out to the fight that I felt light as air. I felt like it didn't matter. I just felt wonderful. And I was just like, I know I'm making the right choice for myself right now. And maybe the right choice for me a year from now, 6 months from now, is to go back. I just don't see that happening.
Right.
I think that there's other things that are going to unfold for me, and I'm interested to pursue them. And I'm interested to help other people out. That's the thing is, I mean, it's such a selfish sport. Such a selfish sport. You have to be self-centered. And I love being self-centered. But I also recognize that for somebody like me, it's also created a little bit of an emptiness. I'm a little bit of a lonely person because that self-centeredness, oftentimes it translates into me not wanting to interact with people, me wanting to stay shut into my little cave and stay alone all the time. And maybe it's time for that part of my life to be over and for me to, go out there and make a difference physically with people.
Well, you interact with so many people, and then when you go to the fights...
On Twitter.
Yeah. Well, like in the gym, and then you go to the UFC event, and there's just people everywhere. I mean, I would even be one of those people. I'd see you and go, Julia, and then I'd be another person, you'd have to chat with. And
it is exhausting. Yeah, that kind of thing. But that's also Julie. I mean, I don't know. I say a lot of swear words on Twitter and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, but that's Julie on good behavior. You know what I mean? Like, I've never told anybody in person to go F themselves. I've never, you know what I mean? Like, I've never, if somebody's made me mad, I think this is just being adult, because usually when somebody makes me mad, I laugh at them or I walk away. But, you know, maybe it would do me some good to get in somebody's face and shout. I don't know. I've kept
no.
up that barrier of politeness.
No, Julie, no. We can't have that.
Just saying that's what sells. But
we like the Julie on Twitter where guys propose to you, and you know, everyone's like, "Oh, we love Julie. She's the best."
Yeah, I asked them for cats. Yeah.
It's funny. You would not believe the number of people who are like, "Oh, who'd you interview?" You know, I'd be like, "Oh, Julie Kedzie," and then they go and look at your picture and they like, "Yo, dude, she's hot, man. Do you know her?" I said, first off, she lives across the country from me. Okay. 2, she would tear you apart in 3 seconds. And 3, you'd have to get through the rest of her teammates just be able to ask her to do anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then my animals.
Oh yeah. Hey, don't you have a cat that's always getting mentioned on Twitter or something?
I have 2 cats and a dog, and my dog's name is Bailey, and I put Bailey on my UFC banner, but nobody's ever noticed it ever. It's been awesome. It's like the thing I've gotten away with every single time. Like, I don't know why nobody's said anything about it or done anything, but my dog, I've just has a picture of my dog just with a big grin on her face on my banner every single time. And so I'm just like, wow, that's cool. But it gives me kind of an idea that maybe people don't really pay much attention to what's on the banners as much as you think.
Yeah, oh yeah, well it is when you have like the one big word, right? You have like a 3-second window for me to give a crap, and I'm like, oh, it says headstrong or whatever. All right, moving on.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But starting to wonder about that as promotion. I mean, seriously, I've had a picture of my dog. Nobody said anything. Like, oh, geez. I think that you get more notice for what's on your shorts. And on your shirt, because it's consistent the entire time.
Ed Herman.
I'm saying this, I'm screwing people out of so many sponsorships right now by saying that, but I'm just saying, I've been on 2 televised cards. Like, the Jermaine fight was on an FX prelim, and this was on the actual main, Fox Sports card, and there's a picture of my damn dog on there. Nobody noticed.
Look, nobody notices anything except for like Ed Herman shorts that say Condom Depot.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I think you have to, there's got to be a real business in finding sponsor logos and then, like, actually presenting them on the shorts in the most noticeable way. Like, that's the thing is, like, when we're driving down the street and we see billboards and stuff like that, all those that are calculated to get your attention in this brief window of advertisement, bam, there's all sorts of studies that go into that. There's a whole field of study into how much we can get across in banners, obviously, because that's clearly not showing up, or maybe the picture of Bailey just didn't show up, and everybody's like, "You're crazy."
No, yeah, you're the crazy dog lady.
Yeah, crazy. Well, she's a crazy cat lady, but
yeah.
She thinks she's a cat. So.
No, that one of the best parts I love about just the female MMA, and I was going to bring this up because it blew me away, is the 11 women that the UFC sucked up from Invicta.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That was insane, and it was like all of a sudden it was like a big bright light shone on the women's division, and Dana was like, "Oh, remember all those horrible things I was saying before? Those terrible things about women's MMA?
Yeah.
Well, let me go steal 11 of them from you."
Yeah, I don't know that it's actually stealing from Invicta, to be honest. There are very, very many people who want to be signed to that organization, to Invicta, and Shannon Knapp is probably one of the best human beings in the world. And her whole platform has always been to promote the women, to make it about them. And for these strawweights that transition into the UFC and get that kind of opportunity, they got it because of her. Like, I'm firmly convinced that. Like, they got the notice because of her. Like, some of these names nobody would have ever heard of.
Right.
And I mean, God bless her. Like, she just launched the careers of 11 women just like that. Because now that they weren't noticed and recognizable fighters, because obviously they were in Invicta, but in Invicta, that again, people are watching that on the internet. In the UFC, that's a global phenomenon. So they're really taking a step up, I guess, in worldwide notice, as opposed to the people. And like, a lot of people watch Invicta. A lot of people, they keep crashing those servers and stuff. But just, for them to get this even bigger platform, I think is incredible. And there are going to be plenty of women signed in their wake because they're going to be looking for their big breakout. And so I think it's actually going to make the Invicta cards even stronger and more exciting. I'm super happy for everybody involved. I think it's one of the best things that could have happened.
I agree. And what I was really secretly hoping was that Dana would pull in a 145 women's division and Cyborg could come in. But
yeah, I'd love to see her in the UFC, but 115 right now I think it's a good choice. There's a lot of crazy stars at 115.
Yeah, and
Cyborg is kind of the 145er that gets the most amount of notice. I think that there's other 45ers like Julia Budd and Adrian Gomes, women like that are definitely going to get their due. But, I would say that Cyborg is probably the 45er that the only one that people really recognize.
And I will say that there are a lot of us out here that would love to see Gina Carano come back and fight one more fight.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's like all you guys, I don't mean, I'm not aging or anything, but like the old guard, the people who like put the concrete down and then, as they walked on it, they were laying the concrete to get from point A to point B. And, you guys paid the dues, and I know you're humble and everything, but anybody who's listening to this interview, because there'll be a bunch of people, you need to look up Julie Kedzie on the internet. You need to look up Hook and Shoot if you can find it. And that'll show you what women's MMA. But even at Hook and Shoot back then, the crowd was rabid for women's MMA. So it's not like it was never popular. It was always downplayed by.
Yes, that's the thing about it that I never believed. I can believe when they said I didn't really believe, but I could believe when they would say it's an argument against the UFC that there wasn't enough depth in the weight classes.
Right.
Because a lot of women jumped weight classes, and a lot of women were undiscovered, and a lot were fighting, and weight classes that weren't there. But I could never believe when they said there's no interest for it, because there was always interest for it in the crowds that I fought at, and I fought for a long time when nobody was paying attention. So I never believed that argument that there was no interest for it. There's interest for it. You just have to. You can't follow public opinion. You have to make public opinion. And that's something that Dana White does very well himself.
Right.
It's just a matter of him, okay, now make your public opinion, Dana. Work on this one. You don't follow what everybody tells you to follow. You make people follow what you want them to follow. And that's definitely a motto I've lived by. And it serves me well. And, obviously I don't have that kind of reach that he does, but I always knew there was interest for it. And all these naysayers say, no, it sucks. This, that, you know what, they're still talking about it. And now the conversation has changed to no women can fight to, oh, well, these women can fight. Or well, these other women can't fight, but these can. Well, the conversation has evolved. And that's very important.
And I think I'm going to go, if I had Dana's phone number, I'd call him right now and say, well, Dana, since, retired fighters come back and represent divisions, I think that Julie would be one hell of an ambassador for you for women's MMA. And, it's not like you don't know everybody in the freaking business. Come on.
Well, there's actually newcomers now, especially the women's divisions that, I've, heard of them before, but I've never seen them fight live. Whereas before, I'd seen almost everybody fight live. But, yeah, heck yeah. It's pretty cool to have been where I've been and seen what I've seen. I'm pretty blessed in all of that. And, wherever my career takes me, whatever my next step is, I definitely want to work very closely with the Invicta in the future just because I really believe in them. I believe in the model. I believe in all the women and all the weight classes.
Right.
And the UFC is doing a good job. They've got the 2 now. Good. And I hope they add more in the future. But there's still, like you said, 145. There's going to be some stars at 145, not just Cyborg. And 125, God, Barb Honchak, wow. That, her performance with Leslie Smith, amazing. There's stars in every weight class that, that should be recognized worldwide. And so I hope to be a part of helping that happen.
All right, Julie, well, I'm going to close with this. I just have to ask, what's your plan for the near future? What are you going to do? Take some time off, go back to the gym, and just do your regular, duties or your job, or are you going to go somewhere?
I can't really travel so much.
That is why I love
understand
you,
what
Julie.
I thought it was, but I was really hoping to go to stay longer in Australia or go Europe or something like that. But that counts on the win money. So I'm back at work already. I'm going, but I'm not training yet. I'll start training again lightly next week.
Right.
Because we will have some girls getting ready for things, and I want to be a part of that. And I guess that's my immediate plan. Let my body recover. I pulled some kind of muscle in my neck, so I'm really cranky about that. It keeps giving me headaches. So kind of get through that, get some good massages, and go back to work, keep training, and just do it and have fun now.
Well, cool. Julie, I'm sorry to see you retire, but on behalf of Pro MMA Now, we want to say that it was a pleasure watching you fight, and we want to stay in touch with you.
Absolutely. Call me anytime. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good one, Julie.
You too. Good night.
Bye.